Hey guys, thanks for listening to The Cynical Nerd. Please keep in mind that we do not avoid spoilers for any of our topics, whether they are current or past media. Listen at your own risk. Oh, damn it. That's great. I had a chicken Caesar wrap, homemade, very delish.
Oh, a homemade wrap. That's like, It's not like, it's hard to describe because I don't want, like, the only thing I can say about that, it sounds insulting. Like, it's impressive to me culinarily, but outside of, like, impressive to me, it's not.
No.
But still, like, to me, that's like you took your time on it. You really went to town on dinner tonight, you know what I mean?
No, it was pretty quick. It didn't take that much time at all.
No.
And whenever I tell people that I had a chicken Caesar wrap, I feel like they're like, ooh, good for you. You're eating healthy. No.
Yeah.
I put Parmesan cheese on that bad boy. There's not fat-free Caesar on there. It's a very fatty meal.
Yeah, what'd you eat for lunch yesterday? Oh, I had a Caesar salad. Oh, good for you. Oh, croutons were on it. It's like...
Ruined.
Ruined. I gotta wake up. I was
Me
about
too.
to fall asleep on the couch.
I'm a sleepy boy. I just had a day.
Right.
You ever have a day? I had a day.
I have days all the time. I had a day today.
Yeah.
But not like your day.
I have allergies, and it's just like... So first of all, I'm cold turkey off the Afrin. Done. I gotta stop. It's an addiction. I've been saying I gotta stop. I'm doing it. I'm just gonna periodically do that with my hands throughout the episode. Just to make sure you're paying attention. And so, like one of my nostrils. Thankfully, I've been lucky on day one. It's only ever one nostril at a time, but just complete occlusion. Just all of a sudden, breath is coming in, going out. It's great, and then just, and it's just like that for like 2 hours. Nothing helps it, and I just have to deal with it.
Yep.
I read that as long as you have one nostril that you can breathe out of, you should go cold turkey. But if both of your nostrils are occluded, it is okay to Afrin one nostril until, it gets better so that you can like breathe and stuff, very important.
Yeah, it's okay to take the drug if only one of them is fucked up or both of them are fucked up. Because like at that point, what harm are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's gotta be why. Like at that point, just fucking all in.
I read someone make a post today that said, I'm tired of being treated like aspirin when I know I'm a perk 30. And I really loved that.
That is pretty good.
Oh, boy. Drugs, am I right?
Drugs are lovely. I have, people don't know. People do not know.
They're not
this.
aware of this about you.
They're unaware about this. I was basically dead for a week. I get a really nasty sinus infection. I know last episode we didn't put the video up because I knew I would be blowing my nose and shit the whole weekend, but that's just where it started. And then, a fever and all that stuff and antibiotics and, now I went to the store and I bought Flonase, cause she was like, you should, I'm not going to bore you with all the little deets, but, she was like, you want something to dry you up upstairs, so Sudafed or something like that. I'm not going to bore you with all the details. Here they are. And I
like how the pharmacist talked to you like you were a child. We want to dry you up upstairs so that you feel better downstairs.
Yeah, what's better is it was the doctor too. So it was even more demeaning. Right. I did a virtual consult
for
the first time in my life. I was looking at going to urgent care because I'm irresponsible, so I don't have a PCP. That's primary care provider for those out there, not the drug.
Not the drug.
Also known as angel dust.
We're moved on from the drug thing.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about medical professionals.
Yeah, moving on to medical professionals.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, you want some Sudafed? Because we really, really want to dry you up there. She's like, it sounds like you get these all the time. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's a cute sinusitis doc. And she was like, all right, well, do you take like a Flonase or something? And I was like, no. And she's like, well, you should, you fucking dummy. So I picked that up. I don't know. We'll see. There's some kind of medicine.
There's like I know it's like toxic masculinity that's like ingrained in me, but Flonase is such a fucking pussy name to me. Like, oh, I have to go pick up some Flonase for my post-nasal drip. It's just feels weak. I feel bad every time I use it. Just about myself. Well, nobody sees me doing it. It's
probably because the primary like acting ingredient is estrogen. It's just squirting. Flonase, made only with the best est on the market. I'm still coughing.
The best est. No, so am I. I've had post-nasal drip for like 6 weeks now. So like I get like every 5 minutes. It's not a cough as much as it's a cack, like a cack. And that's it.
Yeah, that's kind of like
I don't have directly into my microphone on purpose.
Well, it's okay. I like the challenge.
All right.
I like it, I'm not coughing up the flimsies anymore. That's what I call them, the flimsies.
Did you say that to the doctor too? I'm getting a lot of flimsies. Are you familiar with that term, Doc?
Yeah, doctor. I'm now in the flimsies phase, which I'm sure you're familiar with. It's very technical. I didn't forget. People don't forget. I have Twitter things to talk about.
Oh, the Twitter drama. Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's not really drama. Well, I mean, it is. Look, this is very quick, and I'm not perpetuating it. I felt like the place I had left it in, there was no way that I could succinctly tell my reasoning without continuing a downward spiral of tweets. Look, Drunk Chris tweeted at somebody last week, and then Sober Chris had to take care of it. We've talked about this on the podcast before. We both consider ourselves pretty progressive socially, and therefore, the saddest part of that whole conversation was how my initial remark was immediately misconstrued to misogyny. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about this before on the podcast. Twitch creators selling their images, their bodies for money, subs, donations, whatever. And really, am I jealous of the ability to do that? Yes, 100%. Because no one wants to pay to see my man titties and schlubby body. However, every female should be empowered to do anything they want. It's theirs. It's their God-given, sometimes surgery given, but mostly God-given assets. They're your bodies. You are allowed to do whatever you'd like. Go fucking make some money. Go fucking sling those tits. My problem.
Open up your pussy close up on cam.
Yeah.
Do it.
Get one of those little like colonoscopy cams, but for your we'll call it a never mind. I can't even think of a word that would not be weird.
Hey Doc, do you do front colonoscopies around here?
Yeah, we call them frumpies. Anyway, my hang up whenever something like that's happening is it just and we've discussed it because of what happened, is like when someone tries to do it in a way that's like innocuous, or look at me, I'm so innocent, mm-hmm. or like tee hee, I play games, my boobs are out, do you want to give me your money? I just, there's something about it that always rubs me the wrong way. Like if you're slinging tits, sling tits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying you have to like just straight up be a porn star on your social media accounts, but like, and I'll give you the whole. I'm not trying to tease the story out of you. So I honestly don't even remember her name, and I apologize. It's not a slight to her. It shows how off the cuff and random the fucking tweet was. But I'm gonna look it up because she deserves recognition insofar as she was actually kind of fine about the whole thing. To be totally honest with you, she didn't say one thing that pissed me off. Anyway, there was a tweet that was put up by Jay Holiday. Go give her a follow, and I mean that sincerely. I would never want anyone to say a mean thing to her. Jay Holiday 28 on Twitter. She put up something and said, "Are the mods asleep?" And it was a frontal shot of her, and her cleavage was like front and center, and it was like asking for a friend. So it's clearly like a teasing tweet. It's like what are the implications when you post something like that? What does "Are the mods asleep" mean? It means, is this risque picture that I'm trying to sneak through the filters going to get taken down, or can you see my titties loud and clear on the other side? So anyway, I was drunk, and I don't follow her, Jay Holiday, and no offense to her, but I don't follow her because I don't like that stuff. I'm not looking for someone to sub to pay money to see tits. Pornhub exists.
Yeah, it's free out there.
So
a lot of it.
I mean, if you're into it, good for you, but I'm not. So Twitter threw this in front of my face for some reason, which I think is part of the reason I hated it so much. Because Twitter's basically saying, hey, incel, here's a picture of some tits. Why don't you pay her some money? So I'm just like, fuck you. Anyway, so I see the picture, and my responded with a tweet that was rude. It was, in fact, rude. And I thought about taking it down, but some of her friends and followers really just screwed the nails into that tweet so it would never come down ever. And I put up like, I'm going to put up a tit pic to see if I can garner likes and responses. There, I fixed your caption for you. Very rude. It was a rude, irresponsible late night tweet that I should not have put up. And I am sorry that I did, because she seems like a nice lady for all I know. Anyway, her community leaped on me, and the whole like, oh, look at their.
Some of them were really funny.
Some of them were like so insultingly lazy. Like, hey, virgin, go back to your podcast.
Shut up, loser, virgin, or something like that. One had me in tears. I'm sorry.
If you know that I do a podcast, then like in my byline right before that, it says like father. So I mean, either you willfully ignored it just because you wanted to use virgin, which points.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or, you're just an idiot. Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't great. And then I tried, whatever. That was the whole gist of the story is that I was not attacking her as a person. There's nothing wrong with what she was doing per se. I have a problem with how she's going about it. And I stand by that. I don't like, I mean, like I said, she seems like a perfectly nice person. To her credit, she didn't say anything super rude.
She didn't, and I agree with you. I do. I think it's. I literally had my girlfriend's 10 feet back this way, so I'm really shooting myself in the foot here. I literally have an Instagram just to follow, just people posting their tits on Instagram. That's the entire reason I have one. Like if explore, like using your body in the way that you wanted to and promoting it in the way that you want to didn't exist, I would suffer for it. I wouldn't see all those great tits and butts out there. I want to see them. So there's nothing wrong with that. But, I thought about it and you're right. So a lot of her community came back and they had they were like pretty caustic with their responses to you. But she was not. She responded and she just kind of like, I can't remember exactly what she said. She gave an example of like, well, I was just wearing this shirt. I can't help that my chest is big and my boobs pop out, whatever. And it made me start to think like, am I like, was me initially agreeing with you? Was that misogynistic? And the more that I thought about it, I really don't think it was, because I have guy friends who like post pictures of themselves without shirts on, flexing in the mirror. And they're like, does anybody want to go to the bar tonight? And it's like, we know what you're doing, man. Like you're fishing right now. Like just be honest about it at a minimum. That bothers me just as much. So I don't think I don't know. Somebody can jump in my DMs and prove me wrong if they'd like. You're welcome to. I'm at Dr. Gloom MD. But no, there is just something, I don't know. Isn't there something cheap about that? Like pretending it's just for one thing, but it's really, you're just showing it. I don't know.
I honestly don't know why it bothers me as much as it does, but I promise you very much, Jay Holiday, that I am not attacking you as a woman for posting your body. We talk about stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I really had to say about it. Honestly, the only reason I even said any of this about it on a forum that's not my Twitter account is because there's no way I could format that long retort into a tweet that would make sense and get my point across without suffering more backlash. There was one person in particular who saw the initial tweet and went straight to our podcast Twitter and screenshotted pictures we've put up of like Mommy Milker from Resident Evil 8. And it's just like, this fucking guy is talking about women putting up pictures. And I'm like, hang the fuck on. There's a first off, it's a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
And those are supposed to be comedic memes. Like the thirst that we put on for these people could be seated in something real. It's also being put up for comedic purposes.
And it's not our bodies. The equivalent would be like the cover of our thing being, I don't know, our 6-pack abs that neither of us anywhere near sort of kind of have.
That's the second point, is that beyond being for comedic reasoning, it's not our own actual bodies. And thirdly, I never said that she shouldn't be able to sell her body. That was not the point. And I never apologized for it because of that person. And you know who you are.
Yeah.
They were so like, nice try, dick twit. Like they didn't say that, but I'm just in my head. I'm like, you feel like you're up here. and therefore, no matter what I say, it'll be like a losing battle. So I decided to just retreat to my podcast that 3 people listen to, and give give the long form response. Anyway, sincerely, she's a beautiful woman. If you want to go look at some nice tits,
she has a great set of tits. I feel like if you put them out there, I'm allowed to say that. It's that just seems fair. At
J Holiday 28, she's got pages. It's stuff that you can go subscribe to. Looks like she streams. That's it. That was the big old controversy.
That's the whole episode. Bye, guys.
Yeah, we're done. Bye.
That.
This is actually episode 70.
7D. That's 7 and then the letter D.
7D's nuts, which is a lazy title if I want an easy out later on.
Yeah.
We have a decent amount of trailers to talk about. Not too much we can review. And then we have some stuff to talk about. Obi-Wan episode 3 came out, the one with Vader in it, which seems to be splitting the internet in half. Although I actually don't know how true that is anymore. That was my initial view, was that it looked like people were on one side or the other, and then all I saw was things on one side, which was the side that I'm on. But then that could just be my own social media bubble of like the pages I usually look at. Stranger Things, you've seen the end of part 1, the big reveals, TM. We'll get your thoughts on that. And then The Boys are back. Did you watch all 3?
All 3.
Oh, The Boys are fucking back, and I really missed this show, and I can't wait to talk about it. I feel like one of the founding shows that we reviewed on this podcast was The Boys. I feel like it was starting or had just started, maybe season 2.
Yeah.
When we started, it just feels like one of those things that like early on we were really talking about all the time because it was airing. And it's back, and with the same level of ludicrousness that you come to expect. If whether or not you think that's good or bad, I thought it was very good. All right. Before we go, at The Cynical Nerd, Twitter, Facebook. I'm still working on Instagram and TikTok. TikTok is up. Come hang out. Come like us. Come follow us. If you want to email us, it's questions@thecynicalnerd.com. If you listen to my whole Twitter tirade story and you think that I was a misogynist, please let me know. I'd be happy to tell you how wrong you are. Hashtag AskTCN if you want to ask us a question on Twitter. Hashtag FuckTCN if you want to just insult us. That's fine. Tell us we're wrong. Demean me, mommy, please.
Step on
I was gonna say step on my throat. All right. Yeah. We have stuff happened.
We got a whole lot of shit to cover. We have like kind of a marathon of trailers.
Oh, we're gonna marathon
announcements. It's quite the undertaking.
All right, well then let's just dive into it. Resident Evil 4, the long rumored remake for that game.
I farted. I hope you didn't hear it. I'm sorry. I hope it wasn't.
I'm gonna try and isolate it and pick it up.
All right.
I didn't hear it just now though, so probably not.
We'll see later.
Resident Evil 4, we know how Derek feels about it already. Is officially announced for next year. Capcom has been going back through their Resident Evil library and just being like, hey, what sold well? Let's make that one again. They have officially announced it coming out. It'll be out via Xbox, PC, PlayStation 5 is where the reveal came out. You know, all the usual. It looks like they're taking the Resident Evil 4 control concept and probably expanding on it a little bit, much like they did with Resident Evil 2 and 3, and just kind of retelling that story and redoing all the graphics. I'll play it.
Yeah. I don't think we know how Derek feels about it. I don't think so. I don't think that's true. I was not turned off by this entirely. I don't know, like, the Resident Evil timeline. I played the first 2 when I was a kid. I'm pretty sure 4 is when it goes off the rails and becomes less survival horror. I could be wrong. Please fuck TCN me. But their track record lately has been so good. Capcom really got their shit together the past couple years. The Resident Evil 2 remake, which I'm playing now, I'm having a real great time with. I'm almost at the
Electric
end. Electric Boogaloo. And then I'm finally going to play 3 make, which I've owned for like a year, but I've just wanted to beat 2 first. So I don't think I'm going to do the other. Yeah, I hear it's not as good. Yeah. But in any event, my only question is like, why have they not remade the first one? I know they did on GameCube like 15 years ago, but it's like, that's the most iconic. Like, that's what put it on the map. That's like the Final Fantasy VII of Resident Evils. Why? I'm just confused by that. But no, it's, yeah, I mean, I'll play it. They're, like I said, their track record's great so far. 7, I still have to go back and replay. 8 was incredible. 2 great so far. I mean, you know, yeah, I'll check it out.
8 was fantastic. I loved 8.
It was so good.
And it's
So
part of the reason that I'm like 50-50 about this. Like, I get it. 4, I played 4 on GameCube. I fucking remember playing that game. Was fun, had fun. It just feels like they're just really like, hey, what can we just make money off of? I don't know. I think I'm being very cynical about this, but I liked 4 a lot when it came out. I'm sure the remake will be great. I hope.
You're
it's
Leon
better
in
than
4 again, right?
Yeah.
God, he's the fucking worst. I can't stand him. Fucking Boy Scout.
The whitest white bread that ever did bread.
Exactly. Yeah.
I hope that they don't do what they did to the 3 make, and that's the reason everyone says ooh. 3 make plays great. It plays just like remake 2, which means that the controls are fun. 3 make is this long.
Yeah.
And I look, I've seen people defend the playtime saying like, if you play it on hardcore, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Increase difficulty to die more often to therefore extend playthrough? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That's stupid. The game length is unforgivable for me. It was like, I don't know, laziness or budget or something, but they like
is it the same
chunks.
thing? Like, do you play as 2 different people? Like, you can choose one at the beginning, like you can in 2?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Because that's the only 2 is actually very short.
Remember.
I looked up a walkthrough just to gauge how far I am from the end. I am directly at the end of that game. I didn't even realize it, and I'm only, I don't know, 5-6 hours in. So I mean, you can play as Claire, and so you could say that it doubles it, but it's mostly the same game no matter who you pick. So even 2 is pretty short. But I got it for like dirt cheap, so it being short is not really an issue for me.
My problem with the 3 make is that it was basically like DLC, but I had to pay full price for it.
Yeah.
And that's where my annoyance comes in, is like, what qualifies a full game? And to me, 3 make was just, they just cut too much content from it. There's like entire sequences of the original game they just don't include. Whatever. Hopefully 4 is not that, because that was disappointing.
Yeah.
But I'm ready, and I want fucking DLC for 8, and I want 9.
That's what I mean. I don't think you're being cynical with saying that, because like, I don't know, 8 was so good. I'd like some DLC for that. I don't know, but we'll see.
Not only was 8 good, but it was critically acclaimed. Like, it's not like you guys took it on the fucking chin for that game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everyone loved it, as far as we can tell. And it was a blasty blast to play, and you made a whole new category under everybody's fetish sites with mommy dom. So, with hashtag tall lady. Okay, moving on from the Resident Evil remake. Speaking of ports and remakes, SpiderMan PS4, which was supposed to, from the developers' own mouths, never go to any other console. It's coming to PC. Look, this is following Sony's trend here. They sent God of War. They sent, excuse me, Horizon to PC as PC ports. I hope they keep doing it.
Bloodborne. Bloodborne.
I hope Bloodborne pops up next in the fucking cycle of. There was someone made a fake account that was impersonating a big news outlet just to spread the story. Like, bag of dick.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Spider-Man's a great game, and I did not want to repurchase the PS5 version of the game just to play it and make it look better, so I didn't. So I might actually buy the PC version when it comes out. It might have been long enough at that point for me to want to dive back in. It comes out in August. It's like not that far away.
And this is not the Miles Morales, correct? I think it's just the base.
I think it's both.
Oh. I was going to say it's a deal breaker without Miles Morales, because I literally just played that game on PS5. But if that's a part of it, that would tip the scales a little bit. A little scale tipping.
I lied. I don't actually think it's both. It looks like it's the original.
Oh, just the base
game.
It
does look like it's the original, unless I'm incorrect. But it comes out in August. Look, that game is really fun. It's an open world that does not beat you over the head to death. There are collectibles, but they're fun to get. Swinging is just a fucking blast, which is why that game works as well as it does.
Yeah.
I remember telling you when we first got our PS5s, because we got them together, hashtag twinning. I installed the Miles Morales game on it because I had the free upgrade for that one. And the way that they incorporate swinging into the new like haptic triggers, it feels really cool. It was one of those things where like a much lesser to the much lesser extent of putting a VR headset on for the first time when you're like, this is really cool technology. It really, the way they built those triggers, it feels like you can feel the web go out, and then when it grabs a building, the trigger kind of tightens a little bit. It's very satisfying in a very hard to describe way. You have to do it yourself. Yeah. If I was going to play this on PC, I would still use my PlayStation controller because that's just a game you use a controller for.
Yeah.
So hopefully that kind of stuff transfers. If it doesn't, that would also be a deal breaker. But it's coming out. If you want it, you can buy it.
You can do it. You can get it.
With your money.
You should. If you haven't played it, genuinely, you should. It's a very good game.
It is a very good game.
I slept on it for a while. It is a very, very well-told story. It takes a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, we already covered it, so I don't want to retread ground, but it takes a little while for the story to pick up, but holy shit, when it does, it's very, very good.
It's
very,
one of those, it's one of those, like, Marvel does it a lot. They'll do like a spin-off, like an Ultimates universe, or DC has done it with the Batman Earth 1 books I always talk about, where they'll let like an artist make something that's not in the greater, like, primary universe, although sometimes they later bring it into it anyway, but let's keep that off the table for now. And they made an Ultimate Spider-Man comic book that was supposed to let these artists, they were like, look, we have a fresh take on Spider-Man's origins, we're going to update it, we're going to do these things. And they do this thing where, like, you know all the pieces to this puzzle, you just haven't seen them arranged in this order before. And that's exactly what they did with the storyline of the Spider-Man game. He's a little bit older of a Spider-Man, still struggling to make it. Otto Octavius is his business partner. And you know what's going to happen because you know who the fuck Otto Octavius is. But because they know that you know that, they fuck with you a couple times in that game where you're like, you think it's about to happen and then it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And then when it does, the relationships they built in that game were done very well. They introduced Miles very early, and that was before anyone knew anything was going to happen with Miles. So it just felt like an Easter egg plant, and then you get more and more of his story. All the shit with his dad was awesome, and then very tragic when he died.
Yeah.
We're doing a full review right now. Not doing that. Bye. Great game. Go play it.
One of the best last boss battles of like any game in recent memory too. Very, very cathartic fight.
Yeah. Very cathartic. And the voice actor for Peter Parker, I always forget the guy's name, did a great job. That death scene, spoiler alert, at the end of the game is like one of the, I can watch it right now, and I would cry again immediately. You
should do
kills
it.
Me.
Get a live,
kills me
live
every time. Live cry Chris cream. If people look, this is how debased I am. Hey, goes back to our Jay Holiday conversation. If people were willing to pay to watch me cry at things on the internet, I would do it 100% every night. What do you guys want me to watch? Forrest Gump? Fucking do it. Guess what? God. Beat you to it. I rewatched I didn't even watch the movie. I watched a reaction to the movie on YouTube like last week from doesn't matter who it was.
Yeah.
Somebody who hadn't seen it. Real Rejects, actually. I've been watching their videos more often. They're very goofy guys, but every once in a while they have great moments. Anyway,
when I hear the opening note to the first song in Forrest Gump, I start crying, and then I just don't stop. Yeah, big time. That movie just fucking cuts its way through, and I am just like a fountain that entire movie.
Oh, dude, I haven't watched the movie in a long time. Definitely way before we had Grayson, and I'm watching the reaction. And it plays the part where he finds out that he's got his son, and he's like,
is he like me?
Yeah, he's like, is he smart? You know, basically. And she's like, oh, he's like really smart. He's like the smartest kid in his class. And Forrest, like, just the sheer like bliss and like happiness that oh god, it's terrible. It's time to watch and not cry. I dare you out there, everyone. Hashtag. I don't know. Gump, no cry. And there you go. Anyway,
I saw a bunch of Zoomers in a film group I'm in talk about how that movie is mid-tier. I'm like, you fucking assholes. You have no idea. You have no idea.
What's mid-tier about Bubba Gump Shrimp?
Oh, God.
Bunch of fucking...
I want to go home. All right, let's move on.
Oh, all that's so sad. So horribly sad. Anyway, all right, moving on. Morbius. Oh boy. So I still haven't watched it. I know I keep putting it off because, like, I don't know.
I want to talk about it so bad.
Well, I promise you, I will watch it this week. I promise you. We have another new episode of Obi-Wan next week to talk about. We have another Boys. Miss Marvel comes out tomorrow, so we'll have 3 show episodes, but they're all going to be at most an hour. Shouldn't be a huge deal to get through.
Yeah, Morbius is pretty short, 90 minutes or so.
You've already seen it. I might watch it tonight. I might just kick it on. Unless we play V Rising after this, because I can't stop. I stayed up till 2 last night.
So either way, you're doing vampire shit. You really converted.
Right. And if I don't do any of that, I'm going to go downstairs and sprinkle put glitter all over my body and take pictures as if I'm in the sunlight. So vamps all around. You know what I mean?
Right. Of course.
The internet has done something fantastic here. And we talked about it. I think it was last week. Morbius, people were randomly streaming Morbius for 24 hours a day on Twitch. And people were like, is this a marketing tactic? It was not. The movie was so poorly received that it's become like it became temporarily a meme film. People were just streaming it. They're saying Morbin time, including Morb and everything that they possibly can. There were untold memes, and new channels on Twitter kept popping up just to stream this around the clock. It became a thing. Sony, in their infinite wisdom, saw this and went, "Oh, hey, you guys like us? Wait, so if we put Morbius back in theaters, you'll go see it this time?" And everyone was like, "Yeah, Sony,
yeah, sure,
we'll go see it this time." And then they put Morbius back in theaters, and nobody fucking went.
It fucking bombed. It made $80,000 opening night.
It's my favorite internet troll of corporate America in recent fucking history.
Yeah.
They were like, "Yeah, we'll totally go see it. We love it, Sony." And then nothing. And what's worse than that is Jared Leto put a tweet in acting like he was reading a script for Morbius 2 Morbin Time. And when that happens, it was dead. He just right on the spot shot Bambi's mother in the back of the head. It's done. It's done. He killed the meme in that moment because you're not allowed to be in on it, you fucking idiot. I don't know if you get how fucking
you're who
memes
we're
work.
making fun of, Jared. You're not a part of the joke.
Your shitty movie. You can't be like, haha, I get that it was shitty. Like, fuck you. You probably thought you did great work. I hate him more and more each time he's in another movie. You fucking method acting bitch. Sorry.
Is that what you would say to him if you cross him on the street?
Yeah.
You fucking method acting bitch.
Why don't you hang out in the redwood forest in California? Because that's what you're acting like all the time. A stiff wooden plank. You fucking sequoia? I don't know. I'm sorry. All right, we'll move on. Morbin time. Morbin right out of theaters and hopefully nowhere else ever. You want to hear a very ostentatious remark from Amazon?
Yeah.
They have 5 seasons mapped of their Lord of the Rings show already.
Yeah, that's it's alarming. I'm not naysaying this show yet. I'm not.
I know.
I'm not. But
that gives me pre-Halo release vibes. Remember that? Remember? Yeah. Derek got a little concerned because we already expected that show to be shit, and guess what? We were right.
Yeah, we were right. Nailed it.
Because the producers were like, "Oh, Paramount!" Like a story came out that they were so happy with it that they already like planned for a second season. We're like, "What?" It's just kind of reeked of like baiting.
Yeah, and then in the article it says something about like we even know the last shot of the final episode we want to use, and it's like, hang on, doesn't the like first episode have to happen before the last shot of the last episode ever? Like, why do you have that planned out? I don't understand.
Well,
some of the language in this was a little concerning to me too. Like, there is more than enough written in Tolkien's unreleased works to stay true to source material, but they said something like, he left the stars in the sky and we made constellations. I'm like, ooh, don't like that. Don't like the sound of that at all.
Don't like that.
Look, I'm still hopeful. I still think that some of these shots look breathtaking. Veronica and I actually just rewatched the trailer the other night. I lost none of my feeling that I had from initially watching it. I'm still hopeful. I'm like cautiously optimistic in the most like direct way I've ever used that statement in my life. I'm hoping for the best.
I'm very proud of you. I want you to know that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I also would like to file a copyright claim against Empire. If you'll notice the screenshot in that article of someone standing on top of like a tower looking out over a massive canyon. The Empire exclusive logo looks very similar to the TCN circular logo. So Empire, just expect to hear from our lawyers. We'll be reaching out to you pretty soon.
I did the wrong thing. Now I got to see it. Yeah, our team of lawyers is going to be hard at work on that immediately.
Our team plural. I just need you to see it.
Oh yeah, it really does. Wow, that is very, very close. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're coming for you.
Coming for you, motherfucker.
Yeah, but look
Taking you to
out!
the wall.
All right, we got to get through these trailers because we got a huge old
Let's bang, 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 bang.
docket, if you will. So we knew it was coming. Does it make it any better that we knew it was coming? I don't know. I love Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks has been in a lot of wonderful films. I always like when Tom Hanks works with like Steven Spielberg because he does these like good. Fuck, I forget the title of this film, but there's a film where he is trying to get information to a Russian spy or something.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Bridge to something. I don't know.
It was fucking great.
I never saw it. I heard it was great though.
Those are the kinds of Tom Hanks. I love those movies. I love them. I live for those movies. This movie, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is the live action remake of Pinocchio, which is coming out on Disney Plus. They try to make this trailer like they barely show Pinocchio. Like they're trying to hide the lead here. They show a lot of Jiminy Cricket, which is hilarious because I realized now in the almost decade that I've been with my wife, she says Jiminy Crickets a lot. Like when she's like instead of like shit, she's like Jiminy Crickets, and I didn't realize how often she says that as soon as I saw him, I thought of my wife. So she's one on that front.
Right.
This comes out on September 8th. This is Robert Zemeckis. There's a great
September 8th,
cast.
you say?
September 8th. I do say that. I do say that.
That's somebody's birthday. Somebody on this podcast.
And it's not me.
What a terrible gift to get on my 34th
Yeah, but
birthday.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Keegan-Michael Key and Tom Hanks, and there's a lot of like decent names attached to this film. I don't know if this is going to work in live action.
It's not going to. Can I spoiler alert you? It's not going to. This is just a mess of CGI. There's nothing of Disney's planned works that I'm less excited for than their live action adaptations of their old classic.
I 100% agree with that.
Like after The Lion King, which I for some reason really had my hopes up for, and it was so fucking mediocre. Like it wasn't bad, which almost makes it worse. It did look amazing, but it just had nothing that the original film had. And it's just like, again, ask the question, if you can't remake it better, why make it at all?
Right.
And apparently they're planning to do this with like all of their old animated films, aren't they?
I don't know why.
Me neither. It looks stupid. It looks really dumb.
There's a cat in this trailer, like right up on Front Street, like 40 seconds in. CGI. Why?
Yeah,
it was just a cat laying on a table. I don't understand why the cat was CGI. You
guys don't have cats?
Watching When You Wish Upon a Star is like Disney's like theme, and I kind of forgot that it was associated so closely with Pinocchio, to be honest, because it's just, and so when they played that, I went, oh shit, that's kind of like, that's a deeper cut for them. Maybe they'll put extra love into this. I love Tom Hanks, but like him as Geppetto is a little creepy.
Hard to look at. It's not easy on the eyes.
He's an old man playing with a puppet made to look like a young boy.
Yeah, he's Todd McTutchins.
And look, I'm not trying to make it gross. It's just there's something off about it.
Yeah,
and it makes me feel icky.
I agree. It was a weird trip. It's very uncomfortable. Yeah, the whole thing is very discomforting.
What I'm saying is it's going to be a Pornhub spinoff where he just glazes that balsa wood, baby. Get that Geppetto.
Gotta seal the wood. Gotta get the varnish on.
Look at the barn. We're dirty old men, but so is Geppetto in this trailer. No, I'm just kidding. He's done nothing to earn that.
Yeah, he didn't come in the trailer. We haven't seen the movie yet. We'll see.
We don't know what he was doing under the table. I mean, he's a master of puppeteering, right? You could have had a string tied to his thumb or something. Just
waving to his neighbors in the morning, trying to hide it.
Oh, I can usually get 3 waves in, but not today. As you can see, we entertain ourselves here.
Geppetto, you motherfucker.
You
did
dirty
it
old
again.
Geppetto. This movie's going to be so infamous on Pornhub that they're going to name a move after him. That's the Geppetto.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you shoot long, thick ropes and then you use those to make your dance. Sorry. All right, let's move on. We're delving into weird territory. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any hope for this. Like you said very eloquently, their sorry, live action things have been less than ideal. Is like the best way I could possibly put that. Aladdin was a shit show. Lion King was
watched it.
Lion King was subpar. Beauty and the Beast, I don't know. Didn't watch it.
Me neither. They just look dumb.
Yeah,
like
why?
some things are just
Pinocchio
better as cartoons. I don't get it.
And even then, Pinocchio was like the one I didn't like to rewatch as a kid because it has some dark shit in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of those older Disney animated films from like the 50s and 60s had like a couple scenes where you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, like everything's fun and happy. There's talking animals, and then it's like sometimes people die unexpectedly, and you just have to deal with that. Just so you know, 4-year-old kid watching this, it happens.
Yeah.
It'll happen to you.
Sometimes we get lead poisoning, and you're like, whoa. Then you realize it came out in the 50s when that shit happened sometimes.
It was very common back then, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to eat paint. What do you want from me? What do you tell your father when he's holding the belt out and wants you to repaint the living room? Do you paint it? Let that lead paint rise over your skin? Yeah, of course you do. I don't know where I'm going with this. I was making Derek giggle. That's my only goal on the podcast. Okay, we got some gameplay. Switching over to Vigi games. Sonic Frontiers, which we saw announced a while ago as an open world Sonic game, and they put up some gameplay. And it's fucking, I don't know, IGN, good for them. Did you watch this gameplay? Did you like it at all? Did you think it looked kind of cool?
I've been seeing screenshots of this for a while, and I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was someone who like put Sonic in like a Breath of the Wild. I don't know. I didn't think this was really
basically
happening.
what it looks like.
Yeah. So
Breath of the Sonic.
When I realized it was real, I was taken aback, and then I watched it. And it kind of looks a little bit cool.
Right?
Like it doesn't, I was expecting to shit on it immediately. And that's what I want to do because all the 3D Sonic games are like embarrassingly bad. But it looks fun. It looks like it has like it captures the sort of like hectic, chaotic, fast moving nature of the originals. But it looks sort of like it has like a Banjo-Kazooie element to it where there's different little like launch pads and rings and springy things you can jump off of, and he's using different like dashing abilities that I'm assuming you unlock throughout the game. I mean, really, I skimmed it. I didn't watch the whole thing throughout, so I don't know if they showed more than just like showcasing him running around. But it looked fun. Looks like something's could be fun to burn time in.
Some of it's a little jarring because it's this like natural, beautiful world, and you're like, oh, there's a little pink booster bubble sitting there on the side of the rock. Why is this all weirdly go? Anyway, no, it looks fun. There's a little bit in here. There's a little bit of him exploring like this tall monolith and like bouncing around on it, but then there's a lot of video that shows him kind of just like free running through the countryside, and there's rails and ramps and boosters just everywhere designed to set up these like lines of transportation for you to ride through. My only concern is how many of those could there possibly be so that getting from one side of the map to the other is not the same line back and forth all the time. You know what I mean? Or you discover like the best route to go and then you're never going anywhere. I don't know. I feel like it has a tricky thing to kind of balance, but I will see. I mean, it looks fun. Like you said, it gives me like, definitely gives me Breath of the Wild vibes. It also gives me like Final Fantasy vibes, like the latest one where they were in the countryside and you're like, all these rando dudes in like really nice clothes are just wandering around out here fighting wild animals for like untold reasons. I don't
just kill all the animals. That's the whole game. Just kill animals.
Kill 6 of these rock noses for this hot mechanic back at the gas station because she asked me to. Okay,
Did you
lady.
play 15? It sounds like you have more knowledge
I played at least like 15 hours of it or so.
Right, 15 to 15. 30 for 30.
15 to 15. All right, Sonic Frontier. We talked about it. We did that.
We did.
It's coming out.
We did it.
It's got some puzzles. It could be good. It could be shit. Who fucking knows? But if they're ever going to cash in on Sonic property, now's the time. Both Sonic movies have garnered universal love and adoration. They're not amazing films, but everyone seems to see them right for what they are, which is just a good time.
Yeah.
It's just fun. And Idris Elba playing Fish Out of Water Knuckles is hilarious, but I still don't understand how they're going to give him his entire own thing because that feels weird.
Yeah.
Speaking of running around,
seen.
remains. Speaking of running around and real fast and doing fun shit, I don't know how much that relates as a working waypoint between those two stories.
It works.
Rollerdrome was just revealed. Rollerdrome is coming digitally to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 and Steam on August 16th. So all the good platforms. If you watch this trailer, it's basically like roller skating and
it's Tony Hawk if you were on LSD and also had a gun and could kill people with it.
That's pretty
That's
pretty
what it is.
accurate.
It's like it's like, I guess it's cell shading is technically what it is.
Yes.
But it's a very unique style of cell shading that I haven't seen before. It looks like an animation that you're, playing out. You're doing all kinds of cool rollerblading tricks and shit, slow-mo, but you also have guns and you shoot people with them, and you'll do like a fucking backflip varial off a ramp and then like shoot two guys in slow-mo and then flip around and land and grind on a rail or something. And then it looks, I don't understand what the like logical, what's the story of a game?
Who
like
cares?
This?
Who
None
cares?
At all. Doesn't matter. That's what I was going to say. Doesn't matter at all because the gameplay looks really, really fun. Just looks like a silly good time.
Yeah, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater with Max Payne and Jet Set Radio.
There you go.
That's what someone said. It's pretty good. It reminded me of something. There's a 2D game that involves a banana. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's like a shooter game that has, I swear to God, dude, Pedro? My banana's name is Pedro? I don't fucking know.
Sounds right to me. Might as
Banana
well.
side shooter. Watch. My friend, it's literally called My Friend Pedro. It's a side-scrolling shooter, and just like the acrobatic shooty nature of it, like the Max Payne type of like jumping over the Matrix style shit. That reminded me of that, but it's not really the same at all. But this just looks weird and fun.
Yeah.
In a way that I was very not expecting. This came out in the State of Play as well, and it just felt like it came out of nowhere. And so like the character backflips into a fucking like roller derby arena and just shoots somebody in the fucking head with two handguns, and I'm like, what is this that I'm watching? So yeah, I'm on board. It looks fun. Looks like you can do some sweet fucking tricks too, bro.
Some sweet tricks and shit.
Pull off some sick, bro. All right, moving on. Moving on. Next thing announced at the State of Play. It's called Callisto Protocol.
Nice.
Got him. Burn. I'm just kidding. I mean, so look, the Callisto, we talked about this before. I think the announcement came way back when Scoot was still on the podcast with us.
Pretty sure.
And this is from the creators of Dead Space. These are the guys that made that original world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that crazy when you see this game, because it looks like a spiritual successor.
It's Dead Space 4.
Yeah, it's Dead Space 4.
Like Elden Ring is Dark Souls 4. This is Dead Space 4. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
No.
Nothing
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they brought the fucking limb severing system back for this game. But yeah, I mean, they released, this is just the, this is not the gameplay trailer. This is just the actual graphical cinematic trailer.
I think there was some gameplay in there, but primarily cinematics.
Looks good.
It looks really good. It looks scary, and I like to be scared.
Okay.
I like to feel the ticklings in my loins.
Okay.
And like, as much as horror movies have no effect on me, like most of the time I should say, have no effect on me, horror games terrify me down to my core to the point where I cannot play them.
Oh, yeah?
I've tried to play Visage, and I just can't. I literally like my monitor's here, and I'm like this the whole time, like, because when something pops out, I want to be fully primed to completely turn my head away because I scream. I just scream. Anyway, Dead Space is incredible.
Yeah.
Really, initially I kind of like scoffed, and even though it looks great, I thought, oh, this is just Dead Space 4. And then I realized, I'm like, all right, well, sometimes when a formula works, there's no need to really change it up a whole lot, like changing the environment, the story, the characters, just to keep it fresh, sure. I can't give, well, like I said, Dark Souls a pass on keeping most of the same systems, just expanding on them in Elden Ring, and then carded against Callisto Protocol. That wouldn't be fair. I think it looks excellent, and I can't fucking wait for it. And the Dead Space remake as well.
I didn't realize that main guy was modeled after actor Josh Duhamel.
I don't even know who that is, so I
was rewatching it. Josh led that superhero show we stopped watching, Jupiter's Legacy.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So I was rewatching it, as I tend to do while you're giving thoughts, just to see if there's anything that I missed that I would want to bring up at the end as a stinger.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait a second, he looks a lot like, and then I went, yep, he is. Okay. It's used after him.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Looks cool. Yeah. I mean, no, it wasn't poo-pooing anything. I mean, rip off of whatever you want. Well, it's not even a rip off. It's their property, but, I mean, I want to be scared. I enjoy, I also, there's only been a couple horror games that I've been really into. Most of the Resident Evils qualify as that recently.
Yeah.
Not when they were early on, because when they were in the PlayStation era, I owned a Nintendo GameCube and did not play them.
Yeah.
All the remakes have been great. Excuse me.
Your excuse.
And the Dead Space original trilogy, I didn't finish 3.
Me neither.
A little too shooty for me, at least in the intro. Kind of didn't feel like that. So I've heard it's better later on, but I never pushed through it.
Me neither. I'd like to one day, but I just haven't.
Yeah, but Alien Isolation, great game.
Horrifying. Can't do it. Can't play it. Terrible.
It's the type of game where I can only, my nerves can only handle playing it for so long.
Yeah.
Before I'm like fried. It's like an emotional, just I can't.
That's
my
what
body
I mean.
can't handle it.
That and Visage was the same thing. I get like 45 minutes in, and I'm just like, I can't do this. Every muscle in my body is just like a little bit tense right now.
They have Alien Isolation for VR.
Oh God,
and
no.
Somebody tried to. I was already terrified enough playing it normally with the lights off and shit on the stream. Someone tried to get me to play the VR version. I kind of want to try it at least once because I figured it would be hilarious.
You should do it.
To watch me be a little baby back bitch. Also, when I used to play Resident Evil 7, I think it was 7 on stream, that game had a couple big jump scares in it that really got me.
Me too.
And when I was streaming it, some of the guys in my stream knew my wife and would text her to come sneak up on me because I had the room darkened.
Oh, I feel like you told me this before.
There's a clip out there of me being like, motherfucker. And because she was sneaking up behind me. But that would be heightened to a level I can't express if I had a VR helmet on. So I don't know. I might do it.
You should totally do it. That sounds like a really good time, actually.
It would be funny for everyone watching and not me.
Not
but
you
that's
at
the point.
all. Yeah.
Plus I gotta stretch the legs of this 3080 with something. I think VR streaming's got to be the way to go. Anyway, Callisto Protocol, that comes out December 2nd of this year. It'll be out this year for your consumption. Next topic. Speaking of old properties, not old properties, but whatever. Paramount is just scraping the bottom of the barrel for whatever properties they have. I feel like this is the Ryle syndrome that he's talked about before. They just like, what's our thing going to be? What properties do we own? Let's just make them into something we can put on our platform. They're making another Beavis and Butthead movie and on Paramount Plus, and they're calling it Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe.
Not just America this time. Not even the world or the solar system, but the universe, all of it.
Yeah.
How are they going to make a sequel to this? What are you going to call it? You already got the whole universe, assholes.
Multiverse.
Oh,
gotcha.
Shit. They're gonna.
I beat you. I win. 1-0. How'd you feel about this trailer?
I felt almost nothing whatsoever. I know that Mike Judge is a smart guy, and I know that he's a funny guy, and I know that he has smart, funny writing.
Right.
But nothing in this trailer made me go, boy, I can't wait to watch this movie. Now, there's going to be a rainy Sunday where it's on Plex, and I'm going to see it, and I'm going to go, oh, fuck yeah, and then I'm going to be happy to watch it. But it's not a priority. That's all I can say. I don't think it looks bad or anything. And again, I have faith in him as a writer, but no, it's, you know, it's okay. Middle of the night.
Yeah.
Like, did you laugh at all throughout the trailer? Like, did anything happen?
No.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, these guys from when I was a kid. Like, that's it. It was just pure nostalgia. I don't know. It's just relying on that.
Leaning very heavily. And the thing about Beavis and Butthead, there's a moment in this trailer where they look up at the billboard and they're like, whoa, we're in 2022. And then Butthead's like, not that. And he points up and it says 69th annual. And they're like, ha, 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 ha. Now, if we were together and you pointed that out, I would have laughed because I'm a child. Mm-hmm. But watching Beavis and Butthead do it felt like pandering to my personality type in a way that I was like,
how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you, son of a bitch?
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, it's a thing. It exists. It's coming out June 23rd.
Oh, so wait, what were they like sent to the future from like the 90s or something?
There's some kind of future shit happening in this trailer for sure, because there's like alien versions of them that are bald and like
right. So I guess they're gonna go for a whole thing where it's like they had insensitive humor in the 90s, and now they're in an age where everybody's super sensitive. There's probably gonna be some kind of play on that. That's what I imagine the point of the movie's gonna be.
Probably not that far off.
Because they talked a lot about, they really objectified women back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we're still doing it in present day, so that's okay.
Are we really better, world? Are we? No, we're not.
How far have we come? How far have we really come?
Yeah. No, they definitely time travel. They're sent to space camp by a creative judge, in air quotes, in 1998, leading to a trip to on the space shuttle with predictably disastrous results. They go through a black hole. It's the laziest time. They reemerge in our time where they look for love, misuse iPhones, and are hunted by the deep state. Spoiler, they don't score. I don't know, man. I think I'm either outgrowing Beavis and Butthead or the very transparent attention grab to me because I grew up with them is just not doing it for me this time. Yeah. Normally I'm okay with it. I'm like, I see what you're doing. Oh, whatever. If it's good, bring it on. This time I'm like, yeah, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Whatever. Comes out June 23rd. Watch it if you want to.
Oh, that's pretty soon.
Only a couple weeks away.
Yeah.
The next thing I put in here entirely for Derek. They released Gameplay, which is Final Fantasy fan speak for gameplay for Final Fantasy 6. I don't even know. That was an unnecessary dig, but I took it anyway. Final Fantasy 16 official combat and story trailer. I'm going to let him talk about this, but releases in summer 2023. I have thoughts. I'll save them for a little bit just to surprise you. Did you watch this? Do you like it? Are you excited? It comes out on PS5.
I didn't watch it. I asked you to put it in here because I didn't watch it.
Oh.
No, of course I watched it. So it
was nice strategy.
Yeah, okay. So obviously they're sticking with the action RPG thing that they did with Final Fantasy 15. Seems like this is more like not party oriented like that was. It's just like you play as one guy. A lot of the old school people are mad because it's not turn-based. I think that those people can't accept that like turn-based is just not a thing for like main flagship AAA titles anymore. It's like,
right.
You got to evolve, you got to change. There's still plenty of turn-based RPGs out there that are coming out that are great, like Bravely Default and Octopath Traveler. I mean, they're still out there. So
yeah.
Put your fucking engine.
And that being said, a quick interjection. Final Fantasy 15, I did not stop playing because of the combat. That was very fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
It's Final Fantasy 15. I actually like. There's a huge divide on that one too. A lot of people didn't like that there was this huge open world and a lot of the side quests felt just meaningless because they're correct. Anytime I suggest that game to anyone, I say don't do it one single side quest. Just do the main story. I think that's the best way to enjoy it, is to just treat it like a hallway, even though it takes place in a very massive world. But anyway, in any event, no, it looks like there's somewhat of a return to the roots, despite the gameplay sort of evolving in the direction that, in my opinion, it should. And I'm an old school fan. I've been playing them since I was a kid, so it's not like I just jumped on and, I don't know, it's not like I'm some Zoomer like entering the series. I've been playing them since 6, which was released in America as 3, way back when I was, I don't know, 6 years old or something. But they're returning to the roots as far as like it's looks like it's more of a medieval inspired setting. Obviously, it's not medieval. It's just still, you know, fantasy sci-fi shit happening. There's a heavy focus on summons. I feel like all the best Final Fantasies, the summons are central to the storyline. They're not just like the ability you get to do big damage in a fight. There's some really, really cool design on some of those summons, like Ifrit. We saw Bay Shiva is in there. She's looking juice as usual. And my boy Odin, my son, was just riding through the sky. He was in it as well. No, it looks good. It's the thing with Square Enix is that they're a shitty company. They're like Japan's EA. And so, but one thing that they're really excellent at is showcasing the things about the game in trailers that are really awesome.
Yeah.
And then they either take so long to release it that like they cut this content, so stuff that was originally in the like if you watched Final Fantasy 15, the original trailers, 90% of that shit didn't even make it into the final cut of the game because it took 10 years for it to come out. And then I forget. So those are all my thoughts. Okay. I'll still probably play it. I mean, not probably. I'm gonna play it. I've been playing these games since I was a kid. I've played every single one of them at this point now. It would be weird to just stop now. And that's it.
Word. Moving on. No, I'm just kidding. I've never we've talked about this before. The lore in a fantasy setting is what has to grip me.
Yeah.
And I've never really been on the Final Fantasy train. I understand the universe, how it works. It's just never done it for me. That being said, as you said, switch back to like a medieval setting. There's no people riding in cars named Noctis this time. Where like with pseudo modern day, but like not really. That kind of shit like annoys me. I didn't like it. So the medieval thing I like. They showed people in castles and people holding swords, and I just feel like if you're doing the high concept fantasy stuff, it just pairs really well with that medieval setting.
Yeah.
I actually think it looked pretty cool. If they keep the modern combat that they've been working on, they're refining in the last couple of iterations, and they do it with this new medieval setting, I might pick it up, check it out, see how it goes. I would like it to not be open world, but if they do make it open world, I would like it to not have all of the just really, like you said, meaningless side quests. Or at least my biggest problem with 15 is that it wasn't always clear which of those side quests would be like beneficial to my character and which ones were just like a little tiny bump of XP, a little tiny coke bump of XP.
Yeah.
Like some of them were like, go explore this mine as totally as a side quest. And I'm like, that sounds important. And then I didn't. It's like I wasted like 4 fucking hours doing it because it was a well fleshed out piece of content and like nothing happened.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it. Go back to what you were doing. Fuck face. We got you. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like it just,
so since it's released, there's actually been a lot of, not that we're talking about 15, but there's been a lot of, like there are characters whose storylines never finish, like side characters who like, they build this like interesting thing up and then you just like sort of never see them again. And it turns out that like more and more they're admitting like, yeah, we ran out of funding or we didn't do this or we didn't do that. It was in development for so long.
Yeah.
And so there's no excuse why that shit shouldn't have been done. Like twice the amount of time that Cyberpunk 2077 was in development.
Yeah.
So they cut all this content or they just never finished it. And it's just, again, it just goes to show you that like the company that I grew up with, they're not that anymore. It's like, it's same thing with Blizzard. Like you just had this adoration and respect for the company as a kid. And then you get older and they just kind of become a soulless corporation. They're a very soulless corporation. So like, I expect there to be with 16 a lot of holes. I like every time people go like, oh, maybe they'll learn from their lesson this time, and they don't ever. So what's shown looks good. They know how to show the things that look good. But there's just no way to know until you buy it. That's what they want. You have to buy it to actually fully know.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it. I'm just telling
Surprise.
you. Yeah.
Gonna do it. Okay. All right. Let's move on and along and forward and without hesitation. Wednesday Addams. We talked about this a while ago. They were doing like a young Wednesday Addams Netflix series. And I think it was supposed to be like her investigating like, this weird ghoulish fucking shit. And we were kind of not really on board about it. Tim Burton is directly involved. He wrote the show as far as I know. Stars Jenna Ortega in the title role. Christina Ricci will be in the show, but they have never announced who she will be playing. But yes, it's supposed to be a supernaturally infused mystery show with her kind of her years as a student at Nevermore Academy being on display here on focus. The teaser's nothing. It just shows they basically wanted to show everybody that they remember what Wednesday Adam looks like to the audience, so we didn't freak out. It's not Thing.
I think it is. No. Yeah, it's Thing. It's Thing.
Cousin I thought Thing. Cousin
it
was the hairy thing. That's what I was mistaking. So Thing, all stitched together, mobile, doing its thing, climbs up on her shoulder. The young woman playing Wednesday Addams looks properly gloomy and gothic. I don't know.
She's really that chick is in more and more now, and I'm happy to see it because she's a good actor.
Really,
I saw she was in X. She was the young AV broad who gets her hand
that was
broken.
her.
She was. I don't know if you watched You. She was the younger sister in season 2 of You.
How many single? We got X. We got You. Yeah. Can I get a Y?
She was in Scream, the new Scream.
Was she?
She was like the person in the beginning, like the opening scene where he breaks in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was not recognizing her with the Wednesday makeup on. Okay.
A lot of horror. But it's so goofy. Like you said, like all they showed us was one, basically a still of Wednesday to show us they, still know what she looks like. Before I saw this little snippet, I saw just a still of her, and the comments were just filled with people like, she'll never be Christina Ricci. She has too much of an expression, too much emotion on her face. Nobody can do it. And it's like, yeah, well, Christina Ricci's like not a kid anymore, and this is a show about like a 14-year-old kid. So
yeah, what do you want them to do? You want them to de-age her? Please don't. Christina Ricci is a honey just
how she is.
Full-grown woman.
She's like a barrel of scotch. Just gets better and better and better.
All right, moving on. That show comes out. I don't know when. It was literally just a fucking teaser for the show. They were like, check it out, we're doing this, and it's just coming soon. So anyway, moving on. The Sandman, the oft-teased show based on Neil Gaiman's very famous graphic novel. One that I think we had talked about on the podcast when they first announced this. I then went and listened to the audiobook. Very good.
Yeah.
Full voice acted. It was a great time. And I fell in love with the world. It was very well written. Of course, Neil Gaiman is awesome fucking author.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've obviously been very intrigued by the show they announced it quite a while ago. This seems like they're putting some actual good time into it. And if you've read or listened to the book, you would know why, because there's a lot that goes on. And a lot of, we're talking about the world of like the dreaming and, very, very like gothic, but also sometimes whimsical and fantastic locations. So
it's so fucking unique. It is such an unbelievably unique setting.
It's very cool. And basically that was a long-winded wind up to say, I think this trailer looks fucking great and I can't wait for it to come out. Sometimes you see a trailer and you're like, yeah, that looks like it has a Netflix budget. There's like a niche for a Netflix. You can tell that it was given some money, maybe not enough.
Yeah.
This looks wonderful.
Yeah, it does look pretty good.
A lot of the shots like are lit in a way that just makes me feel like the Sandman. And I feel like it's a really dumb thing to say, but a lot of them are, there's like a dreamy quality to some of the shots. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that filter is. I don't know what that Instagram filter is that you turned on this trailer. but it's working for me.
Yeah.
And I really want to see it. That's it.
It does look good. I feel like Dream himself maybe doesn't look the greatest, but I think that that's a hard thing. That like gothic, almost like the Crow look is hard to take seriously nowadays. Like it had its heyday in the 90s. But it's not so bad that it's like yuck, but it's just not great. Everything else about the show does look great. There's this still of in the graphic novel where it's when he first like breaks free from his imprisonment, and there's like this orb of like this vortex of light that he like raises up, and he like puts his arms out like this right before he basically like escapes confinement.
Yeah.
That I will never forget reading that book and getting to that still and just staring at, I'm gonna send it to you so you know what I'm talking about, and just staring at that one page for just like 5 minutes because I just thought it was so detailed and so beautiful. And they actually have that shot in this trailer, so it was just cool. I'm like, all right.
Is it the one where he's getting sucked up into the orb and he's like,
there's
this,
like
his arms are back?
He, like his arms are back.
It looks
he, like, raises.
very cool.
Yeah. And so that was exciting because I thought like, all right, that's like like my main memory of what I read of that series, which is not very much, is that specific still. So I thought, all right, I'm not the only person who appreciates that. My issue that I'm having, we already said, we praised Sandman, not to glean any attention off of it, but there was another piece of great news that came out this morning, and that's that Berserk, the Japanese manga that I recently got into and recently gave up on because I fell so deeply in love with it, and had about 10 issues left to until I got to the point where the creator, Kentaro Miura, died. A little over a year ago, he died. And they released one issue that he had already completed posthumously, and nothing since then. No word on if they were going to finish it, yada, yada, this and that. So they announced this morning that his longtime editor for the past like 25 years is actually going to be taking over and finishing his story. So I think if anybody can do it, it's probably him. He's been literally working with him directly hand in hand for decades now. So now I'm like, all right, I gave up on reading this series of graphic novels because there was never going to be an ending. Well, now there's going to be an ending. So I literally watched this yesterday and went, all right, fuck it. I'm reading Sandman. I'm starting it over. I'm doing it again. But now that I heard that Berserk is going to have an ending, it's going to continue. I think I actually have to prioritize that before I read the Sandman.
Wow.
So, but in any event, I do plan on picking it back up and reading it. Yeah, this I have high hopes for it. It's from what I remember, I read the first, I think 3 or 4 compilations of volumes of the Sandman. I think that there's maybe like 15 or something. And it was just excellent. It was just so fucking unique. It takes place in such a cool world. I mean, like you said, like that's Neil Gaiman. He just knows how to make things feel somehow whimsical and magical, but like still rooted in reality at the same time. It's like this impossible feat, and he does it so effortlessly in all of his works. It's very impressive. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty cool, and this is a little bit of a spoiler. Not it's cameo spoiler, so not really, but it was written in the DC universe, so like they don't lean on that. You don't see superheroes all the time, but there are little mentions here and there of those characters. Mm-hmm. And I think Constantine has a cameo in the book.
Right.
And there's, it was just really well written, and it was very cool. And the trailer captures, like I said, that kind of, there's a lot of that aloof, like mystical, dreaming feeling going on. There's a really cool shot. It's actually right after the Netflix logo, before it. After it says August 5th, which is when this is announced to come out, which is exciting because it's very close, of him kneeling down to speak to a raven, and there's like rain coming down behind him. And it just embodies like this very cool, like, I want to know what's happening in this shot. And that's what that book always did for me. Very good time. Looking forward to it, if you will.
Very, very good. I'm trying to send this to you.
I don't. Yeah, go ahead. I'll keep talking, I guess. So I don't know. This is not a Neil Gaiman thing. It's just a writing trope, where you would you have your main set of characters and you have your main, issue, or what you have to do, your MacGuffin, your main mission, And then the writer will introduce something seemingly completely unrelated, and you will flesh out the unrelated thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's happening in tandem with your main story. And eventually you get like a little sprinkle of something that might cross over between the two. And then more and more happens. And eventually you realize these two storylines are heading for a collision.
Yeah.
And Neil writes like that in most of his works. Like American Gods was like that. He would tell the story about one of the main characters, and then he would tell a story about like a random mother of 5, and then somehow she would get roped into the larger scale, even if only for a few pages. Sometimes it's part of the main narrative afterwards, but he does that so very well that even though I see it coming now because I'm used to his style, I'm like, give me the butter, baby. Set me up.
Give me the butter.
Fucking do it, bro.
I did find it. I accidentally sent it to TCN Social, so Bommy's going to wonder why I put that there. But that's okay. We'll deal with that later.
He'll be like, huh? Is this the episode title? Yeah, it's pretty close to that. What if the thumbnail was just that image, but it was a glory hole that he was being sucked
Or if
into?
it was the dick from The Boys episode 1.
Oh, can I use that image? Or am I going to get in trouble if I use it? We're almost there. We're almost there. Let's keep going. All right, moving on. Resident Evil, the Netflix show. We've talked about this a couple weeks ago. They released I guess what you would call a proper trailer. It's a full 2-minute trailer. It's the same principle we talked about before. It seems like 2 concurrent storylines, one happening in the future and one happening, I don't fucking know when, but there's an apocalypse. July 14th, this comes out. I'm still unsure about this show. I don't know if I'm gonna like it, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna at least give it like an episode or 2.
Yeah.
To just see how it tickles me. We discussed previously when talking about Resident Evil stuff, that I think they do better the less CGI they use, especially when they're doing lower budget, when they're on the Netflix budget. We just talked about it. We coined the term TM. We coined the term TM. And lo and behold, there's like a giant, I don't know, it looks like a fucking grub early on, and then there's like a giant spider, and then a creature that looks like a stalker. And I just, whenever I see these like real zombies in real makeup and they look great, and then they cut to a scene with a CGI thing creeping in from the top, I'm just like, fucking don't do that.
Yeah.
Do the other thing. Yeah. I don't know. How'd you feel about it?
I'm going to say that I actually like this trailer. Like, I don't know why. I don't know maybe I was just in a good mood when I watched it, but
that's fair.
Not that I think it's going to be a 10 out of 10 show or anything, but it certainly looks entertaining and exciting enough to merit, like I'm going to watch it the premiere day. I mean, I think it could be kind of cool. I don't know. I agree with what you're saying about the CGI. That's a little like woof, but there's a certain point when you're not watching a fucking blockbuster summer film or something.
Yeah,
you have to sort of lower your expectations just
no, I know,
but I agree that it's like, if you can do it practically. I mean,
right?
It's I don't know.
There are enough physical in makeup zombies chasing people down hallways in this trailer that I will give it a lot of leeway, and we'll check it out and watch it. All right. Speaking of properties that gave us a teaser a couple weeks back that we weren't super sold on, and now may have changed our tune. Stick around and find out. Prey, which is it's coming to Hulu August 5th. It's an original film on Hulu. It's on a series. Is this like prequel to the Predator series? We talked about it before. It looks like it centers around a tribe of Comanche. I'm probably butchering that. Comanche Indians American Indians. Wait, what's the right way to say that without being fucking super rude? Native Americans.
Apparently, a lot of them are actually totally okay with Indian. But we'll go Native American.
Either way, Native American. I said American Indian, which is like even more offensive than
you somehow made it worse.
Yeah, I really did there. They're like, American, fuck you. Anyway, you guys should all be called fucking whatever we say you're called, whatever. Anyway, Native Americans, my apologies. where they encounter the Predator. And we had a teaser for this a few weeks back, and I thought it looked fucking silly because it was like, we were making fun of the Predator mostly because we were like, your technology hasn't changed in all these years. You're still coming to Earth only to get your shit pushed in. Like, what's your track record here? I kind of liked this trailer.
I don't disagree.
Not like in love with or anything.
Yeah.
But there's a really cool. It starts immediately. She's like trying to prove herself as a hunter in the tribe. They are a tribe of hunters. And she sees like something coming through the clouds, and she's like, I saw a sign from the heavens. And I'm like, okay, kind of neat, because they're playing on the whole, like, you know, back then they prayed to a lot of different gods of the earth. So yeah, she would probably think that. And then she like goes out on a hunt on her own, and she's got an adorable dog, by the way, tries to kill a bear, and she hits the bear, like not a kill shot, and it's chasing her. And it's pretty hectic. Clearly CGI. I'm okay with that. I'm letting it go for this. I would never expect her to get chased by a real life fucking bear. She dives into a beaver dam, which I thought was pretty clever. And the bear sees her, not fooling that motherfucker. And I'm like, it's tense. I know she's not going to die. She's like the main character, and I'm watching a trailer, but I'm still like, oh, it's too close. Something fucking shoots the bear. You know what it is. Picks it up. You can't see it. And I was like, that was kind of cool.
It was really cool. I have to agree. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you just earned yourself a half hour of time.
Yeah.
I will watch the first half hour, and no matter how bad it may get.
It still remains like the very premise that we've seen so many movies of people with like modern day technology get their shit pushed in by the Predator. It's still a goofy premise that they're like, let's go back, I don't know, 300 years or something. And like, it's just like,
bows and arrows.
Why? Yeah, bows and arrows and throwing hatchets and shit and muskets that take 14 minutes to reload your single shot. But no, I have to agree. It was kind of a good trailer. It kind of looked good. CGI bad, but that's okay. It's a streaming service.
CGI bad, trailer good.
Exactly. We're going to bring our expectations down just like 10% for the CGI. And if the rest of the movie can make up for it, then good on you. Good on you.
Good on you.
But I agree that bear, I mean, I don't know. It was just a cool way to introduce him. It would probably have been cooler to just experience that in the film. But I think that they knew they had to kind of rope people in.
Yeah.
And then actually hitting play. So
there's another really cool shot at the end that got me again. Which is that it was when they're in the field and they dodge the laser, and then it has an overhead shot of them running through the tall grass, and you see the Predator trampling down the grass behind them. I'm like, oh, that's creepy.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
There is something inherent in the human condition, maybe not for everybody else, but for me, of being chased by something. Like, it could be late at night.
Especially when it's invisible. I hate being chased by invisible things. It makes it scarier when they're invisible.
Right, when you cannot see them. Because you cannot process the danger you're in.
Of course. You can't assess. You can't do an ocular pat down when you can't see them.
An ocular P, that's what we'll call it. The ocular P. All right, but this looks all right. August 5th, this comes on to Hulu. We pay for Hulu. I don't know what tier, because they have more than one tier, because they're big dumb dummies.
Big boomers.
I also, because I'm playing it, man, she's like prepping at the end, and she ties the rope to the fucking axe, and she's throwing it, pulling it back. And that's fucking cool. All I'm saying is, if you're the Predator species and you come down to Earth and you get your ass beat by people who are using bows and arrows against your fucking high-tech army, never come back. Yeah,
your whole race deserves to die, basically, at that point.
You've shamed your ancestors into the dirt.
Yeah, you have a laser weapon and you're invisible, and if someone with a hatchet tied to a rope can kill you, you're a fucking asshole.
Even injure you. Game over. You dunce. Yeah. You're invisible, for Christ's sake. They can't see you half the time.
Yeah.
All right.
He must have been like, it must be like a punishment or something. He must be like a pedophile on the Predator world. They're like, well, you got to go to this one, you idiot. We're giving you the shitty gear.
I was gonna call him
What if they just called this one Child Predator? No.
Too far. I was gonna call it like Pedo Predator, but then I was like, well, Predator is still the pedo is still a predator, so it doesn't. Oh, that might be the episode title. Just episode 70, Predator, and you have to listen to right now until you get it.
Right.
And then
You'll know why we couldn't make it pedo predator.
Yeah, we'll just call it I'm just calling it Predator because that's hilarious to me and you and no one else. Just gotta get a thumbnail now. We're doing good. All right, let's move on. I have a feeling I know what the thumbnail will involve. I want to talk about The Boys first. I'm not saving the best for last. I am antsy to talk about this. The Boys dropped season 3. We've seen the first 3 episodes, and this season so far is like wish fulfillment for me. And not just in seeing a giant penis that I could crawl into. Mm-hmm. Although that was number 3 on my bucket list. How'd you guess? It's like one of those exhibits you go to at the museum where you can walk through a heart.
Right.
But like, yeah. But like gross and creepy.
It's like, this is a whale's heart. Nope, this is just a man's dick. Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it or heard, there was a meme when Avengers came out about Ant-Man could just solve this whole problem. He could just get on up in Thanos' butt and blow him up. There was a whole like they brought it up on like fucking talk shows to Paul Rudd, you know. They're like, have you seen the meme? And he's like, Disney won't let me talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, the Boys talked about it. They did their own version of that, basically, as the opener. The guys are following, not killing, following under the rule of Huey and that senator, who I forget her name because now I know her real name's Nydia, and I can't remember the fake one. Excuse me. They're following him, trying to just get dirt on him. His name is Termite. Well, as with most soups in this universe, they're debased, and they're at a party. Our intro to him is him fucking a Barbie doll and every cheering him on. It's hilarious. The show's hilarious. I love this fucking show. Spoiler alert. I love the show. I love all 3 episodes so far. It then changes to him in the other room doing a bump of coke with his lover. The guy's like, I want you inside me. My brain goes to, he's going to like make himself bigger.
Yeah.
To make his dingus maybe the exact size his lover likes, or he's gonna go in the guy's butt and like go hit the prostate or something. I don't know. You know, I did not expect the guy to slap his dong down and have Mecha in front of our Termite character. He climbs up in the pee hole. He's like messing with the fucking urethra, and our buddy, who just done a bump of coke, has a very unfortunate sneeze that makes him grow back to full size and rip his lover in half. And that was basically the opening of the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're fucking back, and I'm excited.
Isn't that really like the message of that scene? Like, I thought that was an excellent way of saying, like, communicating to us, like, yeah, no, we're still doing this crazy shit. It was like a comfort to be like, oh, thank you guys. Thanks for going like this crazy within 10 minutes of the first episode.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what hole needed to be filled in my bleak heart, but it was that one. You found the guy exploding through a dick hole and you plugged it very well. Unlike that guy's pee hole, which is now very open to the air. Fantastic. And not only was that episode great, sometimes shows, and the Boys have done it before, where they're like, crazy set piece, or not crazy set piece, but like gross out scene up front, and then maybe you have a lull of a couple episodes that just cover story and stuff like that. There were at least one of these gross out moments for me in every one of these episodes, culminating in the end of episode 3, and we'll talk about it, where Homelander is in basically I can do whatever the fuck I want mode, and trying to bring the Deep back into the 7. Spoiler. Forces him to eat a live octopus at the table. And the guy who plays the Deep, like, God bless him, because he's acting with a CGI octopus. And he, like, I actually felt like he felt bad. He was like, oh, it's Timothy.
Yeah. He's praying for his life.
He was in his mouth. He's like, he's praying for his life. And Homelander's like, eat fucking Timothy. And God bless Anthony Starr.
Yeah.
Because this is where we knew this character was going, which was right to the edge of sanity. And I have been waiting for him to get here. And there's such a great moment where sometimes there's like false stakes in TV shows where like they're there, but when you break them down, they don't really make sense.
Yeah.
And they broke this one down, and I loved them for it. Because it felt like they weren't beating around the bush. It feels like they have a very specific story to tell this season, and they're not wasting any time. The whole argument around they're going to let the Deep back in the 7, and Starlight's like, don't you forget that I have the footage of you on that flight where you killed all those people. And he goes, release it.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't care. I'd prefer to be loved, but I'll take feared.
Mhm.
And he has this lovely monologue where he's like, I'll take out the nervous center first. I'll take out DC and then probably the silos and the nuclear armaments. And he was like, I like, do it. Fucking like, I don't give a shit. And I love it. And there's so much more I have to say about it, but I'm hogging the time. How do you feel about this season so far in these 3 episodes?
I think it's excellent. I think it's first, I just have to touch on the Deep. First of all, I love his character because we're introduced to him. He sexually assaults someone, and I remember reading
Starlight.
I remember reading that when they were on the writing table for season 1, basically a lot of the writing staff said like, this is when Me Too was in full swing, and they were like, there's no way to do this with tact. Like, there's no way to do this without it just coming off as crass. And some of the other writers thankfully were like, no, I actually think we can. I think we can make a statement about this. And so my favorite thing about what's happened with him since is they keep making you think he's going to go through a redemption arc, and he never does. He's literally he's an asshole. Well, not only is he an asshole, but he's never stopped having to suffer for what he did in episode 1, which is a beautiful message to send. And he gets ridiculed by the general populace. He gets ridiculed by his boss. He gets ridiculed by his lover, by his colleagues, by everyone.
She's like, eat the fucking octopus.
Eat the fucking octopus, yeah. And I just think, first of all, it's funny. It's funny to watch an asshole squander. It's almost like a fantasy or a fetish or something to see like some asshole just have to fucking eat it again and again and again. And the actor does such a good job at it. Like, he just comes across as so pathetic and sad. And there's a piece of you that's I really just think his whole arc has been genius, because there's almost points where you feel bad for him, and then you remember what a fucking piece of shit he is. And you're like, no, you deserve this. You deserve worse. You're literally Homelander brought him back in just to be a fucking punching bag, just to have control over someone. And speaking of, the way that he's picking on A-Train is just hilarious. Like,
oh god,
dude, when he was up on stage, A-Train,
I can see your fucking girdle, you disgusting piece of shit.
Yeah, I can see your girdle, you fat fuck. Oh my god, it's so funny. He's terrifying this season, and knowing that he in real life almost killed a person in Spain just makes him more terrifying. Just adds a little more context to him. No, I like the direction that the show's going in. I'm really bored, and I said this about season 2 as well. I'm bored with Huey. I just, in the comic book, I'm not saying it needs to stay true to the comic books, but in the comic books, Huey was like a normal, regular guy who was radicalized by the fact that A-Train killed his girlfriend, and more, that's kind of the point of the books. He becomes more like Billy Butcher, and it's his growth. It's not like I'm becoming more like what I shouldn't be. It's like, no, there are these evil people out here, and I need to rise to the challenge and head them face on. I feel like that's what they're doing in this season. Like, he kind of
it feels like they're starting to.
Right. So I hope they keep going in that direction, because there's only so long I can take a Boy Scout for. Like, I feel like in seasons,
especially in this world
and in this far into it. So in seasons 1 and 2, I defended him. Well, season 1 I did, because he's meant to be us normal, rational, moderate, easygoing people.
Right.
He's our entry, our lens into this world to react to all this crazy shit the way that he reacts to it, by freaking out and, screaming and yada yada. But like, at this point, we've grown attached enough to these crazy people, even the villains, that we don't need that. We don't need the lens anymore. I feel like we just need everybody to not go through the same arc, but I don't know, just to have one guy like, maybe we should be nice about it, guys. It's just like, dude, shut the fuck up. How many times do you have to learn this lesson? So I'm not being a naysayer. It seems like that's where the direction they're going, that they're going to get rid of that aspect of him.
I like Huey and Starlight's relationship, but they made a very clear statement about him feeling emasculated dating her, which would happen to most of us because she's a superhero.
Yeah.
Very powerful woman. Also just a honey. But she's playing a very dangerous game. And in fact, she kisses Homelander in that last episode. I'm like, okay, that's going to be an argument. She's going to go, I'm just staying close to him like you told me to. Because he did. He said, you got to stick this out, even though he's putting her in danger. And then the thing that made me go, oh, maybe they are actually going to have him like sink down to our level a bit here, is he tried to do it the right way. He got someone on his side. He opened up an office. Turns out that was all fucking rigged too.
Yeah.
And now, when he was trying to sneak away without hesitation, he's like, you got to break my arm. Like, that was when I was like, okay, maybe they're going to do, not right by him, but just write him more interestingly. Cause like, I agreed with what you were saying. He was a little boring before. Hopefully that's not the case anymore.
Kimiko is so fucking beautiful. My God. Every time she's on screen, my heart just melts. Like I feel like my muscles like detensify. She says a very physical reaction to me. It's all the blood leaving my muscles and entering my PP is what I think it is.
Right. No, that's 100% what it is. She's a lovely woman.
Now that I got my boner jokes out of the way, though, I do like what they're doing with her in that they're focusing in on the fact that she sort of had her childhood robbed from her.
Yeah.
And she wants to re-experience that.
Yeah.
I thought that it was a very, very cool way to merge those two worlds by having them go to that place that was clearly inspired by Disney World. And she like sort of lights up and is like, oh, I want to go on the ride. I want to go on this. I want to go on that. And then, of course, she just sees that dude, this totally innocent guy, get gored into fucking millions of pieces. And it's sort of like she comes crashing back to reality. And you feel bad for her because she had a moment where she forgot about all this crazy shit in her life. And then it all just sort of came rushing back. Final thoughts. I don't really have much to say other than it's good. Other than this, I just love that this is one of those shows that's like, and I think I said this about season 2 as well. It's very parallaxical in that like people who are like on the extreme right think that it's an anti-right show, and people who are on the extreme left think that it's an anti-left show.
I don't know, but after that gun show, I don't know.
Well, and but I mean, they're making fun of Disney and making fun of corporations leaning into LGBT just so it'll make an extra buck. I mean, it's always criticized the right more than the left, certainly. But it's more of a criticism of just American culture. I feel like people try to make it political, and of course they use politics as a vector to make their points. But it's more just like, hey, how absurd has our culture gotten at this point that we glorify fucking terrible people and just let corporations do whatever the fuck they want, and there's just nothing anybody can do about it.
Yeah, they satirize just everything under the sun.
Yeah. So I love it, dude. I think it's so good. I think it's excellent.
And I knew you did. I fucking knew it.
Yeah.
I have 2 more things left to bring up. One, we've talked about this ad nauseum before, but it's been a while since The Boys was out. Homelander's just character arc, or whatever you want to call it, downward spiral, upward spiral, however you view his status. It's just so well portrayed. Like, I didn't know that Stormfront was still alive. So seeing her in the bed, I was like, that's kind of horrifying. She's like, disabled, but can't die, I guess, yet, because she's a superhero and she wasn't Homelandered, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Highlander, not Homelandered. But of course it's the boys. So he goes in to complain to her, and she's like, my poor little man. And she's like, offers him a fucking handy.
Yeah.
And she's like, has to adjust the bed to get to the right height. It's so awkward. And then she's just like tugging with her whole like little torso. And then, in true Homelander fashion, he disavowed her, right? Great. Homelander disavowed the Nazis. He got, well, okay. He didn't disavow her because he thought she was evil. He disavowed her because her focus was on the Aryan race, and he views himself as the higher being.
Yeah.
And they did that. They've reminded us all of that again with the hand job scene, because she's jerking him and she's like, oh, my little Ubermensch, or whatever she calls him. And she's like, oh, you're going to make a race. And she's like jerking him, just trying to, and he's like, what? No. He's like, oh, Jesus Christ. He gets like annoyed at it.
Yeah.
This disabled woman who's trying to give him a fucking hand job. And it's like dick goes flaccid. He puts it back in his pants. She realizes she's got nothing left to live for, because he's selfish. He doesn't give a shit about her calls. He gives a shit about his calls. So the next episode, I think it was the next, maybe it's the third. He has, again, so tongue in cheek, he does this annual birthday save where he saves someone from killing themselves. And he lands on the roof, and while he's up there talking to he's basically like, look, you're not jumping. Just come back. You're my once a year. It's so cynical. I love
Yeah.
it. And while he's up there, he finds out there's just happens to be a video screen billboard right next to him. Stormfront commits suicide, and his first reaction, he's like, but it's my birthday. Like she knew it was my birthday, and then proceeds to make the jumper jump.
Yeah,
and
she
does
like
not save
changes
her.
her mind, and he's like,
she's
"No,
like-
jump."
He's like, you got to commit,
Yeah,
and like it's fucking horrifying, and he does horrifying so well. A couple of the shots in the trailer that are in this of pictures going off of him that feel like they're gunshots or something, and it's very uncomfortable. They zoom in and he's got dead face. The last thing I will say, we only got a little taste of him in the last episode, but Jensen Ackles is Soldier Boy. Oh, first off, he's doing his best Chris Evans impersonation.
yeah,
And when you first meet him, I was like, holy shit, he's doing a really good Captain America right there. But of course, he's subverted like every other superhero in this. And they've got something interesting going on where they show a young Grace Mallory in some foreign country. I don't know if it was Vietnam or supposed to just be some nameless, fight we shouldn't have been in. And there's this whole thing where he keeps making these really bad, cheesy 50s pickup lines at her, and she keeps spurning his advances, and he's getting visibly more and more like butthurt about it.
yeah.
To the point where he's like, at the end of it, he looks like really genuinely upset about it. I don't know. I want more of him. I'm very excited to get more of him. We're getting seemingly some backstory for Black Noir. It looks like it's going to be different from the comics, at least so far, unless they do a bait and switch. Spoiler alert. Do you know what he was in the comics?
I think he was a clone of Homelander.
Right. He's like a failed clone of Homelander. Which it looks like, as of right now, it's not going to be the case, but who knows? It could switch things up.
I think not, because, and the only reason initially, especially when he was all burnt, and I thought, all right, well, maybe that, he dies and then they do the clone or whatever. But he mentions in that flashback that he has a peanut allergy, which of course we know that he has in season 2. That's how they incapacitate him. And somebody calls him a walking tumor, which I guess was a, dig it that he has these burns all over his body. That's my assumption. Yeah. So I think that the Black Noir in the flashback is like the current day one as well.
I think so too. I think they're going to do something interesting and unique with it, hopefully. Anyway, show's great. I'm glad it's back. I'm sad that we have to only get one episode a week. Very excited though. That Timothy scene was just brutal.
Yeah.
He's praying.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do Stranger Things real quick and with Obi-Wan. So you finished it. We're not going to give whole season thoughts, but did you see the twist coming?
So I saw the twist that the tall blonde orderly in the lab flashbacks, I knew that was one pretty far ahead of time. I did not know that he was Vecna. That caught me by surprise. What about you?
I didn't know early enough for it to count. I figured it out probably about 20 minutes before they revealed it in the show.
Yeah.
I forget what exactly triggered it. It was when they were like escaping. And I was like, you know what? I was like, what if this guy is, I did guess that he was one.
Yeah.
I was like, because as soon as she went to rip out the inhibitor, I was like, wait a second. And what is this inhibiting? And then I literally went to Samantha and was like, I bet he's one. He's the reason, blah, blah, blah. He's got to have something to do with the Upside Down. And then I think it was when they were fighting and he when he was holding her up and his hand was like the same claw shape that Vecna does to all his victims. Obviously just not as exaggerated because he's still human. And I was like, holy shit, he's Vecna. And then of course they went through the backstory of like him as a kid and cool twist. I liked it.
It was a good twist.
I really like this season so far. Yeah. I think Vecna's pretty cool. I'm interested to see how this wraps up. It makes a lot of sense as to why these things in the Upside Down have always been gunning for 11. Yeah, I like it. I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
I thought it was really excellent too. This one was filled with, it had a lot of filler, but we're getting into the end game and you kind of have to have all the pieces in the right place.
Yeah.
So I get that. It's such a minor gripe. I shouldn't even bring it up, but they do this thing where every season has multiple storylines going on at once. The group sort of splits up. They all do their own thing. They come back together. Everybody brings their own little piece to the puzzle, and they, save the day, whatever. This I noticed, especially towards the end of part 1 of season 4, towards the end, there was like this frustrating thing where like you'd be in whatever with Steve and Nancy, and like right when something was about to happen, boom, you're like resetting, and like now you're in the lab with 11 where nothing's
and
really
they wouldn't
happening
go back for a while,
for a long time, and then so it would get to somewhere right before something interesting was going to happen with 11, and then boom, you're in Russia with Murray, and I was like, dude, fucking let. I almost wish that they just had like they took whatever, how many groups, and like each group got their episode, and then like the 7th one was just like a one that sort of jumped around or whatever. But overall, it was great. The one thing that irks me, maybe I shouldn't even say, well, it's not an official spoiler. It's my guess. I know that this is the case 100%. This is the issue with trailers. Now, we talked about it on the show when we watched the trailer for this season. We saw someone shredding guitar as there was like this wave, this storm of like whatever coming in. So like at the end of,
that's kind of righteous.
Yeah. At the end of, I think it's episode 6 or maybe beginning of 7. There's a part where Steve goes back to save someone or something, and Eddie turns to him. He's like, "You're so heroic, man. All I ever do is run. I could never stay behind and save someone like that." And so in your head, you're like, all right, so at some point he's going to save someone. He's going to do the right thing.
He's going to attract all the bats so they can get through the portal.
And so he's going to sacrifice, it, right? It's sometime in part 2. He's going to sacrifice himself by playing guitar on top of the thing, attracting all the bats to him so that they can escape. That's what it's going to be 100%. So we know Eddie's going to die. Stranger Things has always killed its newcomers and always hung on to its long-standing cast members. So it's just, which is a shame because I fucking love Eddie Munson.
Oh, Eddie is great.
He's like my favorite in the entire show so far, I think.
They do a really great job of writing these like at first seemingly toxic masculinity characters. Like Steve Harrington was a fucking bag of shit when we first met him, if you don't remember. And now he's a fucking honey. And they have these nice arcs of growth in these characters where, and Eddie, it was more like layers, not necessarily growth. Like we only saw him being kind of an annoying piece of shit in the lunchroom. Like, if I saw that guy, I'd be like, get off the table, you fucking dickhead. And the more you know about him, he's like this scared guy. He likes D&D. He's not doing great in school. He doesn't have a good home life.
Yeah.
I love him. I love Eddie. He's a great character.
He really is.
Sorry.
The only other thing I have to add is that Demogorgon fight was like probably the coolest thing that's happened on this show in Russia. That was gory as fuck. I was like I said, this season, I'm like, God damn, they're really bringing out the gore this season. And other than that, the showdown between 11 and 1 in the past, where she does her cast Banish for the first time, which shows how the portal to the Upside Down was first made. That was so like, dude, my fucking goosebumps had goosebumps. I had goosebumps on like my fingertips. Like she sort of goes blank for a second, like she blacks out. And then she sees the vision of her mom when she's, I guess, a baby or a kid or something. Yeah. And she just snaps out of it and like fucking, oh my God, it was so cool, dude. It was such a good scene.
It's so funny because it's so stereotypical. Like, what's going to happen, but it's still righteous as fuck to watch it happen.
All of Stranger Things, though. None of the writing is like, wow, what an interesting way. It's all stuff that you expect to happen, but it's just done in such a cool way that, you kind of don't care.
90% of it, definitely. I actually was going to, my last point was going to be the one thing they did that I thought was well written this season was 11's been having these flashbacks to when she was in the program, and she keeps having these flashbacks to all these dead kids.
Yeah.
And they very unashamedly lead you to believe it's her. And
I did think it was her. You're right.
And even when they're doing the lessons the memories to try and reignite her connection to these powers, she has a conversation with Brenner, which I thought solidified that, where he's like not, because it was a reflection of him, and it was also a reflection off of her, and he was like, not everybody is all good and all bad. You have to take the good with the bad, and you have to live with who you are. And it basically was like, people aren't all one thing or the other. Like everyone has both. And I thought they were trying to teach Elle and the audience a lesson of like, you did that.
Yeah.
And then when they showed the kids being dicks, I thought the show was basically justifying it to us and going like, no, she had a reason. It's not like she just killed them for no fucking reason. Doesn't make it better that she killed a bunch of kids, but still, she was attacked. She was being bullied. She felt no escape. They echoed that in her real life and all the California stuff. Lo and behold, she didn't kill him at all. Yeah. It was the fucking Vecna guy, and I thought that was twist. I thought it was very good. It surprised me.
How good was Brenner too, man? Season 1, he was kind of like comic book villainy, and so everybody had been suspecting for this whole time that they were going to bring him back at some point because they never show him die. He just gets knocked over near a portal to the Upside Down. So, so when they brought him back, I'm like, oh, so he's just going to be the like bad guy. And like, he wasn't. He was just, I love a pragmatic character. Like the one who's like, look, I'll be the dickhead if it gets the shit done. I always like that character. And he played that so fucking well.
He really did.
So that surprised me. I'm like, all right, they're just going to keep reviving all these dead characters. No, he served a very important purpose, and it was written in a great way. I mean, he was
even I forget the other guy's name, the other talking head that brought her back, Owens. Even he was like, this isn't producing results. You're just torturing her, basically. He's like, I know what the fuck I'm doing. This is gonna work.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be fun, but I'll be the guy that pushes the buttons. I can't believe we talked that much about it again. It goes to show you it's a good season. You should go watch it.
Yeah.
The rest of it comes out in a month. We have less than a month. I think it's like the beginning of July. Right by July 4th weekend. I think I'm off the week it comes back out. I have off the end of the month. Anyway, last but not least, Obi-Wan season 3. We'll run through this pretty quick because we're running long. This was the on-screen return of Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader. I personally liked this episode quite a bit. I think along with Rogue One, it showed us a terrifying Darth Vader, one who is like just evil because he knows it'll get things done. I'm going to talk about that scene in particular a little bit later, but some people were griping about the confrontation between Obi-Wan and Vader. And I honestly, I don't get it because there's so much logic behind why it would play out the way that it did, that to be mad just because there wasn't another Revenge of the Sith duel this early in their meeting again, I just felt like it was so stupid. I'm going to get general thoughts from you. I liked it. I thought it was cool. R.I.P. to the stormtrooper who got sliced in half by that gate. That was fucking brutal.
That was so cool.
I really like the idea of seeing these normal citizens who are on board with the Empire, because there were a lot of them.
Yeah.
Don't forget, the rebellion were viewed as like radicalists.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of business owners, the Empire was a good thing. Made them money. Made them lots of fucking money. So to see this guy willingly like transporting troops, and they did it again. If they're going to make a fucking Padme reference that makes me cry once every episode, they should warn me ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because when they're having the fake story and he's like, we all miss her very much. I'm like,
yeah, but you know what bothered me about that scene is they were like, where are you from? It's a long story. It's a long ride. And then he tells like a 3-sentence long story and they're like, all right, this is our stop. I'm like, that wasn't that long at all.
I actually, while I didn't realize the absurdity of what you just said, the trooper who delivered the line of like, spit it the fuck out, was actually kind of menacing. He's like, it's a long story. And the guy's like, it's a long ride. Like basically like, start talking, motherfucker. You realize you're in trouble. How did you feel about the episode?
I felt good about it overall. I will say this. You said you want to touch on the Vader Obi-Wan confrontation. You kind of said everything with the rest of the episode that I would cover anyway.
Okay.
So I'll
Quinlan
just give I'll just give my thoughts on that. I'm actually kind of in the middle. I didn't hate it. I understand that what we're seeing is like a PTSD stricken Obi-Wan.
There you go.
We see an Obi-Wan who just learned that someone he loved that he thought he killed this whole time is actually alive, so he's not going to go dicks out fighting him.
Not only alive, but a monster.
But a monster
is his fault. Yeah.
So like, it's not that I expected Duel of the Fates, but I did expect. He just came across as kind of incompetent, not like scared, just like kind of goofy. Like it felt like he was like I was watching a slasher movie and like. He was crawling along the floor screaming while, the ghost face is menacingly walking behind him. It just made him seem like weak, which sounds redundant because I just said he's weak. That's the whole point. He's been out of practice for 10 years. But I just would have rather had seen him escape in a crafty way, or okay, he makes the decision to not fight him head on, whether it's because he's out of practice, whether it's because he can't bring himself emotionally to do it, or both.
I think it's
that
both,
makes sense. I'm totally with that. But just the fact that he's sort of like, he just seemed incompetent to me. So like, I didn't hate it because I get what they're going for. I feel like they didn't communicate that well enough. I know that you can see the context clues for the previous 2 episodes, that he's just not himself. He hasn't. I think that we're going to see in either the penultimate or the final episode, like Obi-Wan come back.
Oh yeah, and I can't wait.
I know it's going to be great. So I think that they're trying to like disappoint us a little bit to make that moment like, he's back now. But it still was a little jarring to see that. This is somebody that I've looked up to since I was a little kid.
I agree.
So just seeing him like that, like I would have rather there's like that tower right there. I was like, oh, he's going to do some cool shit. Like Vader's going to walk up to him and he's going to like yank, force pull the tower down on top of him, and Vader's going to have to catch it, and then he's going to dip. But like none of that happened. He just kind of got literally dragged over the coals. Literally.
No. Yeah. I mean, so here's the thing. I think it's both. I think it's the PTSD of you just found out last episode that not only is this guy that you thought you murdered, who was your brother, still alive, he's now like one of the most feared and reviled people in all the galaxy. So he's got some emotional issues, obviously, with that aspect of it, but he has not used the Force in 10 years. Yeah. He has not used the Force in 10 years. One more time for the people in the back who are mad about this. He has been cut off from the Force for 10 years, while Vader has been focusing his rage and anger every single day at becoming better at being the evilest motherfucker in the galaxy. So let's do a thing. I thought about this all week. I've been waiting for this. Me and you, let's just pretend, because it's never going to happen, we're considered the best fighters in the world. Let's go MMA. Who cares? We both decide we're going to have a rematch in 10 years, but you're going to keep fighting every single day, and I'm not going to throw one fist.
Yeah.
Or work out. Of course this fucking fight went the way that it did. Like,
yeah,
using the Force is like a muscle. It must be exercised. They must train with it every day. It's the whole fucking purpose of devoting your whole life to it. So I got really angry at the people who like thought that he was like weak. Well, he is weak. He hasn't been doing it for 10 years. He was hesitant to even light his lightsaber until he felt like he had no choice. That being said, I understand what you're going for. They try to make Vader like Freddy from Friday the not Freddy, sorry, Jason from Friday the 13th, like number 1, like the unstoppable serial killer who all you can do is run from. You have no other chance. It actually reminded me of Cal Kestis' fight with him at the end of the Fallen Order, except for much less epic. His only plan is to just get away from him because you're not going to beat him. He's at his fucking peak right now. He is peak Vader, and he was so cruel. He knows, obviously, he's taught the Inquisitors about this whole, like, the Jedi have an itch they have to scratch. So he pulls the dad out and he's force choking the dad. The son comes out and he snaps the son's fucking neck.
Oh, yeah.
He's like,
I forgot about that scene.
Just a little, just turns the handle on the oven. Just, his pilot light's not coming on. And then he force drags the fucking woman behind him. He's like, he knows Obi-Wan is there, and he's trying to pull him out, and they have this Force connection. We're brothers. They know what each other's Force, they know what each other's like signatures in the Force feel like. Like he knows, and I don't know. I loved all of that super tension. Like it looked like he was hiding from a murderer because he was. Stuff. The Quinlan Vos reference was cool. He's a really cool Jedi. I have a sneaking suspicion he might show up, which is why they might have name dropped him. He's a character who literally appeared in a background shot of one of the early prequel movies, and people liked this background character with a yellow streak across his nose so much that they put him in the Clone Wars, and he had this really cool storyline of being this Jedi who was like willing to do shit other Jedi weren't. I don't know if you know who Asajj Ventress is, but she's a Clone Wars character 100%. She was a disciple of Count Dooku. She lived and died in the Clone Wars show.
Yeah, bald,
double red lightsabers.
Yeah.
Quinlan and her fall in love, and
Mhm.
he becomes a Sith for a little bit and is then pulled back from the dark side of the Force when Asajj is killed. He's got a really cool history. He's known for being a Jedi who's really good at tracking, and therefore finding out that he's been helping to smuggle young ones away makes a whole lot of sense. It's cool that he's still around. It's just a really deep cut Easter egg for people who know. People are also
those are the kind of characters that Star Wars desperately needs. Like the like, you know, black or white, good or evil thing is just very, very, very old. I mean, they've been doing that since 77. And I don't mean like all of them have questions like Luke. That's the whole point of the movie. Same with Rey. That's not what I mean. Like, oh, I'm primarily good, but sometimes I think maybe I shouldn't be. No, people who have really fallen and pulling themselves back out of that. That's good writing. That's an interesting character. That's the kind of characters that we need to see in these shows moving forward.
Preach. People are speculating that he might have been the person who helped smuggle Grogu away originally from the temple.
Right.
Who knows if they'll reveal that or not. Would be a cool tie through for the shows because they're not actually taking place in the same time frames. I liked it. Leia's now in trouble. Reva fucking picked her up. We don't know what's going to happen. I feel like this is now that we know, and holy shit, how fucking cruel was Vader trying to rake him through the fucking fire. Just the cinematography of seeing Vader behind the flames was really cool.
Yeah.
He just wants everyone to suffer. That's it. And that's why like people were like, oh, he was watching the droid carry him away through the fire. He could have stopped the droid. And I'm like, he revels in the fucking chase. He wants Obi-Wan to suffer. He just dragged him to the coals. And then Vader pushes him out of the coals.
So that's one criticism I saw that I don't agree with. I'm with you there. So like there's a part, because initially I even said it. I can't remember exactly how it happened. So correct me if I'm wrong here. He knocks those flammable crystal things on the ground, lights him with his lightsaber, and then drags Obi-Wan into it. And then I forget what happens, but they get put out somehow.
He puts it out. He force pushes Obi-Wan out and turns off the fire basically with the force.
Then my whole point was completely ruined. But anyway, somebody sets it back on fire, and that's when Obi-Wan gets away. So like initially I'm like, you just put those out. Couldn't you just put them out again to get to him? And then it clicked to me like he doesn't want to kill him.
He's just watching.
He doesn't want to fucking put a lightsaber through his brain and then it's over. He wants him to burn like he burned. He wants him to just like be in agony. That makes perfect sense. That tracks completely.
Yeah.
But anyway, I still liked it. I it was just a minor like I was like, oh, this show sucks now. But I was kind of like, man, I would have liked to see something a little craftier than that.
And I agree. And I think it's coming. And I think what we're going to see now, because we're halfway through and we have 4, 5, and 6. Obviously, 6 being the big dick finale. I think 4 and 5 are going to be him recentering, maybe finding some allies that might be fun cameos. Mm-hmm. Maybe a Cal Kestis. Mm-hmm. Who knows? I would suck a dick to see Cameron Monaghan show up in the show.
That would be awesome.
We talked about it before, but Jedi Survivor takes place in the same time frame as the show. So even if it's just a random, they bump into each other because he's looking for help, would be nifty. Also, I forgot Obi-Wan is in Fallen Order because they just played the clip of him saying get away from the temple, but I was like, oh, that's fun. Anyway, I like the show. Looking forward to it. I think we have some cool episodes coming up. I hope there's some cool cameos. The Boys, I can't wait to talk about next week. We'll talk about Morbius. I promise I will watch that motherfucker. And Miss Marvel, that's going to be next week. It's going to be Obi-Wan 4, The Boys 4, Miss Marvel, Morbius.
Toy.
Morbin time.
Toy.
All right, we're going to get the fuck out of here. It's late. Where can everybody find you at?
They can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Dr. Gloom MD. That's spelled DRGLOOMMD.
I like it. I like the way you spelled it.
I'm streaming Jedi Fallen Order, Grandmaster. And we've been playing a lot of V Rising, and that doesn't feel like a game that you stream. It just doesn't like have that.
It's like World of Warcraft.
Yeah, exactly. So I haven't been streaming that, but at some point this week I'll jump on and do some more Fallen Order.
Yeah, it's very fun. Very tough.
It is really tough on
But
grandmas.
I do get that satisfaction, like I did with Souls games, where if I I ran into the Dark Troopers on Kashyyyk.
Yeah.
And they're tough to fight. And when I beat one, I was like, oh, I'm a fucking Jedi, bro. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at TCM Plays, where I'll be getting into arguments with e-girls for a living moving forward. I have no content plan.
Yeah.
My sad life is only... No, I'm just kidding. Once again, apologize to Jay Holiday, not to her friends and followers, because they were all right cunts. But Jay Holiday, you seemed like a honey and didn't deserve my initial comment. I was just drunk and a little bitter that night. You know how it goes. We all have demons to work through. Mine's called Raspberry White Claw.
Yeah.
It's a cute sounding demon with hideous talons. Anyway, let's get the fuck out of here. It's late,
get out of here.
and
Let's do it.
I want to mix this and go to sleep.
Let's abruptly end it right here.